Why hello there, and welcome to my final video of Zine Month 2K24. Yes, Zine Month has elapsed. Zine Month was February, it is now March. But that doesn't mean that Zine Month is over. I mean, it does mean that Zine Month is over, but the projects from Zine Month, the crowdfunding projects that Zine Month is all about, are not all over. Some of them, many of them, are still running into around the middle, or some of them even like the end of March. So now I am going to look at 5 of those projects that started during the final week of Zine Month 2K24. And yes, that's the thing we are doing here today. Starting with Solstice, a 90s folk horror RPG, which is a game focused around the mysterious folk traditions of a small rural community. You know, like in folk horror tales like Wicker Man. And the cool thing here is that the players, rather than being outsiders investigating the strange ways of the small town, you know, like in Wicker Man, are members of that community who are in the running to be the chosen one who gets sacrificed in the burning Wicker Man. And that is a very interesting perspective to make this game from. Someone who is actually in the community and looking at it from the inside, deciding if they want to embrace that destiny or reject it. And the campaign is not incredibly specific about the mechanics, but it does seem to suggest that there is either a no or rotating game master type format here. And that is a thing that, while I understand cannot work in every game, that's a big thing about tabletop role-playing games. Having the game master means that these games can do things that other games just cannot. I do think that's a cool way to do it when you can, because everyone gets to experience the entire game, instead of being locked into that player-game master dynamic, which can get a little old for everyone. And next up, Notel Motel, a single-player murder mystery RPG, which is a single-player murder mystery RPG. These games keep doing a really good job of succinctly describing themselves in the title, and then I do it poorly. Anyway, it is a game where you play as the night clerk in a seedy motel and must solve a murder using mechanics that are inspired by solitaire. And that is a really cool idea, taking a solo game and building it around the most well-known solo game. And the actual mechanics do sound pretty interesting, like face cards represent guests, and then the number cards represent events that occur. So you flip cards, find people, determine events, take notes of it in your ledger, and then hopefully solve a murder, or not. Sometimes you lose these games, that's part of the fun. The Scary Door was very clear about the fact that a casino where you always win is boring. That is a reference that just everyone is going to get. And this game does seem like it's part of an overall trend I've noticed in tabletop games, where it seems like tabletop games are just kind of circling back around to the 1970s and 80s in terms of just a large amount of wacky, quirky little games that back then were published as tabletop games, because that's what a game was. A game was a book of rules, perhaps a customized sheet. There were some chits, maybe. There were lots of things. That is an interesting thing, is that I'm seeing now we're going back to that. We're going back to having a wide variety, especially in solo games that are, you know, non-video games. We're moving beyond the weird idea that game equals app, and onto game can be a set of rules that you play by yourself with a thing. And I don't know, I'm getting weird, I think, right now, but that is a interesting observation I have made about the overall direction of where tabletop games seem to be going from my perspective, as someone who has that historical outlook on tabletop gaming as a whole. This went really, really off topic. Anyway, next game. Cozy Quest Collection 1, which is a collection of system-agnostic adventures, which are intended to be cozy little one-shots or things that you would play between the bigger, more serious adventures. And normally, I am a little unsure about anything that says system-agnostic. I've been over this a lot of times. It's very difficult to make a product that works for every game equally well, instead of just, for one game really well. But this one does seem quite cute and also really well put together. For example, there are multiple coziness levels for each of the adventures supplied, so you can tweak them up or down, a bit more extreme or a bit more happy, safe, cozy type situation. So despite my reservations about, system agnostic as a concept, this does look like something that is going to be cute and fun. And next up, March of the Mushuins. Yeah, sometimes when they make up words, I don't know how to pronounce them. Which is a game about magical penguin mushroom creatures going on an epic quest, as magical penguin mushroom creatures are wont to do. There is a fairly obvious comedic tone here, which I do like. I like comedic games, as I've mentioned multiple times, and also the fact that most of my games fall into that category. But there is specification that the Mushuins are extremely forgetful and also oblivious to danger, which are the sorts of characters that are fun to play when you are given the permission to just have your character be completely stupid. In a way, it kind of reminds me of Creeks and Crawdads, a thing that, once again, I'm sure is a reference that everyone is going to get. And the really neat thing here is that there are two different ways to play. One that is a bit more of a traditional role-playing game style, where you are on the quest to go to the Sunstone, and that one's, fairly normal. And the other one where the game starts at the end. You start at the goal, at the Sunstone where you were going to, and then the game is a recollection of the adventure that led there, which then plays off of the poor memory aspect of the Mushuins to have this very unreliable narrative that just keeps shifting as the game plays, because they don't quite remember very well how they got there, but will fill in the blanks, whether they're true or not, as the story is told. And that just sounds really fun. Like, we're really playing with the idea of narrative here in a way that doesn't stop and just punch you in the face and say, hey, we are playing with concepts of narrative. And finally, Budgeon, which I believe is a portmanteau of budget dungeon, and is according to the campaign, choose your own adventure style solo dungeon crawl adventure, which is an interesting thing in general, and despite its small size, only 36 pages long, it is a thing that looks like it is very well put together with a lot of illustrations and some actual thought behind it. Also, in a way, it sort of reminds me of the Nintendo adventure books, because I guess this is just the video where I make references that everyone understands and remembers. And yeah, this one is not spectacular or anything, but I needed a fifth one for the video, and this one is something different. A first-person dungeon crawl adventure illustrated zine. It's something different. I like things that are different. And of course, let us not forget about the most important Zine Month project this year, Dinosaur-Erotica, the role-playing game. The ultimate game of narrating dinosaur sex adventures with your friends. Which is fully funded, so thank you to everyone who backed it already to get it to fully funded. and will still be running until March 15th, so you still have plenty of time to back it if you want to be, socially acceptable in the new era. What does that mean? I don't know. Maybe it means nothing. Maybe it means everything. Do you want to risk having to find out the hard way? And I will not be back next week with more Zine Month coverage because, as mentioned previously, Zine Month is over for 2024 and will presumably be back in 2025, at which point I will probably be covering Zine Month projects again. But until then, I have lots of other content you can watch. Lots of videos that are way better than this one, and you should check some of those out. Or not, I guess. That's really your decision, what you want to do with your time. But if you would like to watch some of them, that would be cool. I would appreciate that. It would be neat of you to do.